Hello, motivators. It's your girl, Chantanell Tanae Carmichael Grayer, host of the Motivate Her Podcast and owner of Motivational Journal Living. Remember to subscribe somewhere on the screen, click the button, let the bell ring, also share to let everybody know that you're here and that you're watching the podcast. Follow me on social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, and Motivational Journal Living. And let me know you were here by subscribing on my webpage at www.motivationaljl.com. Now, today, I am very, very excited. This is a needful topic. Why we should be motivated in our health and wellness. And I'm having a conversation with my girlfriend, Miss Shalese, owner of Temple Nutrition. Now, you know that we have very organic conversations. So, we're going to have some real conversation about health and nutrition, your body, all of that for kingdom perspective. So, Shalese, hey girl.
Hey.
So, let's talk about it. Tell people about you, where they can find you, get that all off the table. We can get talking about the good stuff. So, where can they find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Shalese Pugh Nutrition. My website is www.shalesepugh.com.
Okay. Registered dietitian.
Yes, I am a registered dietitian and owner of Temple Nutrition, where I help women that are struggling to lose weight to get back on track, balance their hormones, get more energy, and clearer skin.
Skin. We're going to talk about skin too today. We're going to talk about skin.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I met Shalese through another guest who you'll meet soon. And what I love about Shalese is real. Shalese is honest. And so when I thought about health and wellness, I wanted somebody, one, who was an authority, right? Because everybody who say they in health and wellness, not an authority on it.
Right.
So you have an educational background on it, and you know what the body actually needs. And there are a lot of fad diets happening. We got a lot of people taking shots. We got a lot of people doing a whole bunch of stuff to try to not necessarily get healthy, but to get thin. But we want to get healthy. So, how do we get healthy?
Well, one of the first ways, it's interesting that you said, how do we get healthy? Because I think that to answer that question, we first have to look at where our habits started. Mm-hmm. So we have to go back even in our childhood for things that may have been ingrained in us from our mothers, from
Right.
our older sisters, from our aunties, habits that we have to unlearn. And it takes time to unlearn those habits of seeing your mom, your auntie dieting. I remember as a child, my mom and my sister were on the cabbage soup diet.
I remember that.
And they were trying to lose weight. And my mom and sister were not overweight, but to them, they felt that they were. Mm-hmm. And so as women, as we get older, we're just always trying to lose weight. We always trying to reach this goal rather than accepting where we are in our current state.
So, okay, I'm going to ask a question. Is there a perfect size and weight that we should be?
No, there isn't. Now, it's interesting. I actually gave a talk a couple of weeks, and a physician made a comment about we don't use the BMI. I mean, the BMI, that we have, but she said she does not look at weight for anything. Of course, there are people that are thin that have diabetes, that have high cholesterol, that have blood pressure. So just to make weight the end all be all has really hindered so many women, especially Black women in our community.
So, okay, so I'm being transparent. I've talked about it. My highest weight was 359. I'm 5'4". I had high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, I could not get under a 10 even on medication. So I ultimately went and had weight loss surgery. I didn't get down to the goal weight that they wanted, but I got down where I didn't feel like I was a bobblehead. You your head bigger than your body because you losing weight so fast. Now I have put some weight on. I'm nowhere where I was before. I don't feel unhealthy, but when I look at the scale, they automatically say that I am. Because, obese, morbid obese, overweight, all of those things. So if I'm, but I realize that diet and exercise are important. But we're in a world where it's not about diet and exercise. It's just about getting to a place, a weight, a look, whatever society says. But I want to go back to, how do we get healthy? We're going to unlearn some of those things, but how do we unlearn them?
Yeah, it takes time to unlearn those unhealthy habits. And for a lot of people, we're in the age of everybody is looking on Google. Everybody thinks that they're an expert when they are not, or just because they did something that they lost 70 pounds, automatically they are the health guru. And so I think, especially for me and the women that I work with, getting healthy isn't just about what you're putting in your mouth, but it's also spiritual. And so it's using the word of God to help you get healthy, because we know in the word of God, even in the Bible, where Paul is telling Gaius that he wants him to prosper, not just physically, but also spiritually. Mm-hmm. And so you need the two in order for you to get healthy.
So how do we come to that? Because see, that's a mind thing first, right?
Yes.
So that's that battlefield of the mind.
Yes.
That one, I'm not gonna be I'm a size 16, and at the end of working with you, I may not be a size 8, right? I may not, probably won't.
Right.
But that doesn't make me any less. But I have to get it through my head, all of these, these the social norms, which are unnormal. But looking at it from a Christian perspective, how do I get from there to here?
So how you're going to get from here to there is, one, working with a professional. So such as myself, who is a registered dietitian, who can take you through steps. So when I work with women, I actually have a 3-step approach that I use, which is, first we're going to uproot, and then we're going to plant in, and then we're going to restore. That's my 3-step framework that I work with women on. So as you're uprooting unhealthy habits, we're looking at labs, what's actually going on in your body, because a lot of times we are restricting foods, or we're taking foods out of our diet that we don't need to, based on our body. Nutrition, number one, is individualized. Everyone has different needs based on their body. But even when we're eating food, everybody has a set number of calories that you should be eating at rest, meaning you're not doing anything and you need so many calories. So let's just say it's like 1,500. That's just what your body needs. So then you have to factor in, how active are you in the day? So then that's going to take your calories up even a little bit higher. So for some reason, we think that as adults, we should be eating 1,200 calories or 1,500 calories. You have to see how much you really need at rest, because how tall are you, Chantanell?
I want to say 5'4", but I'm 5'3".
So I
really want to be 5'5", but I know that I'm not.
Okay. So Chantanell is saying that she's 5'3". Well, I'm 5'7". I was 5'7.5", but my needs, what I need, is different than what Chantanell, what you need for your body. So I can't extrapolate how many calories you need and take ownership as if that's something that I need. And so we have to begin to look at, what does my body need to be nourished. And I always, when I work with my clients, I tell them to give themselves grace. You didn't get here overnight. You have to give yourself grace. It's a process, just as we say it's a process when we come to Christ
Right.
and when we're getting delivered, it's still a process when we're working through challenges with our health. And it is okay. And I say this, it is okay, especially if you gained weight because you had a baby, you gained weight because of menopause, however you gain weight because of grief. It is also okay to not like what you see, but you can't stay there. Just because you accept your body today doesn't mean that you're meant to stay there, meaning you won't lose weight. I think a lot of times as women, we feel if I accept my body today, I'm never going to get this weight off because I'm accepting
I agree with that.
it.
I
I'm
agree with that.
accepting it.
I agree with that. I do. I think a lot of times we get to a point to say, okay, I'm okay at this size that I am, but that's also because I don't want to do the work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm okay right here, but that means I don't want to necessarily eat right. I don't want to exercise. I just personally despise exercise. I do not like it. I don't want to do it. But I have come to realize in order to see a result, I have to have movement.
Yes, but with that movement, you get to decide what your movement looks like. See, again, we're so busy focused on, I got to go to the gym, or I got to be a runner, or I can only do this type of exercise. That's not who made up these rules. That's
what I was going to ask you is who said that?
Yeah,
because
right.
It's like you got to do strength training, and that means you got to lift weights. And I'm like, I don't want to look like him. Right? You know what I mean? But and I think for a lot of us, I'm gonna be honest, I think the dietitian is out of reach. You know what I'm saying? Like, they think it's a very expensive process. So if I go to the dietitian, one, I must be real sick, real bad off if my doctor say you got to get to the dietitian, or it's very expensive. And that's what we have to take out of people's minds, because I also say this, I will invest in what I want to invest in. So the investment in you has to mean something. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
like, we'll go out and buy a nice pair of shoes, a nice handbag, and all those things for a season. Or you like me, you switching handbags out often, buying nice jewelry, but not willing to make the investment or even know how much it costs. I think we think that that's an expensive thing.
So I think you brought up a good point. And when you were talking, I want to say, actually, what is a dietitian? Because I think a lot of people do not know what a dietitian is. You know what you're going to get from your physician, but a lot of people don't know what we do. So as a registered dietitian, I am not the food police. I'm not going to beat you up over what choices you're making. But because I did go to school for 4 years, my degree is in nutrition. So I've studied nutrition extensively. So depending on your disease state, seeing what is best for your body, looking at your lab work. In my practice, I use what's called functional nutrition. So I'm looking beyond the disease state and looking at the whole body so that we can get to the root cause of the problem and not just dealing with symptoms. So for some women, why aren't you able to lose weight? It could be stress. It could be, you're having a hormonal imbalance. So how can we begin to balance your hormones? What does that look like? Some women, you're dealing with bloating, so there may be an issue within your gut. So what's going on in your gut? Then making changes within your body. But even in that, it's still a process because life happens while you on this health journey, while you are trying to get healthy. Life is happening at the same time.
So our community, a lot of times we're not trying to get healthy until after we've been diagnosed with something, right? I got hypertension, which I think That's a black brown people thing. I think all people have it, but it's focused on black and brown people in our community. So I have hypertension, I have high cholesterol, and I'm a diabetic. And I go to the doctor and they tell me all of this because I can remember I was in church and probably for about a week, I kept feeling this numbness in my arm. But I went to church and I felt like I had this gas feeling. And I can remember saying, if I could just expel this gas, even if I belched or passed gas, I would feel okay. So I leaned over the chair in front of me, thinking if I just put enough pressure. But when I did that, it felt like it lodged here. So I literally at that point, and then my finger started to tingle. I said, oh, I'm having a heart attack or a stroke, right? Because I didn't listen to enough. And I went to emergency. I can remember Will took me to the hospital that wasn't far or at urgent care. Because in my mind, I'm saying, I don't want to pay the $100. Let me pay the $50 at the urgent care. And when we went there, they took a test and immediately she said, you need to be in emergency. And I said, she said, we're going to call the ambulance. Again, I'm thinking money. I don't want to pay the ambulance fee. Like they got me hooked up to the oxygen. And I said, Will, we just going to drive across the way. And she was like, you sure? I was like, yeah, she said, you got to sign this paper. I'm telling you the long version. So we get to the doctor and the hospital. They run and it's like, okay, you're going to go here. And he said, your cholesterol was whatever, high. Bad was bad. Your diabetic number, which I did not know I was a diabetic. I know I was pre-diabetic. Well, now I'm a real diabetic because he's telling me my A1C was bad and my blood pressure was bad. And I remember him doing like this. You have a trifecta. We're not going to let you go. We have to keep you in this room to watch you overnight. And I'm like, I'm about to die. Like literally in my mind, I am about to die because I have not done well by my body. And I was a fad dieter. I had done them all, paid big money, gotten shots, did thin, did all of those things at the highest weight. And in fact, I said, I think the time that I saw the weight, I was weighing more than Shaquille O'Neal or Kobe Bryant. And I could say that because those are athletes that I followed. In my small frame, my knees were shot. But I was going to the doctor and I was okay with you giving me some hypertension medicine because while my mother got high, people got high blood pressure. I'm okay with that. Well, I eat eggs every day. That's my mind. So that's why I got high cholesterol. Not because I'm eating everything known to man. And then then knowing in my mind what diabetes was. I'm thinking diabetes, people losing their fingers, their limbs, all of that. So my mind went, psh, and now you done put me in this room. I'm being observed and I'm hearing people coding over here and everything. I'm like, okay, what do I do? Then they give me a medication that starts you out, you dropping weight because anything you eat, your body's rejecting it, right? So anything that I eat, I'm now going to the bathroom. So I'm like, this ain't good either. But nobody ever gave me a weight loss plan. They just gave me medication. And still didn't really lose any real weight. I'm just dropping weight because, they did give me a diet. You can't eat no salt. You can't eat no sugar. And you can't have no carbs. I'm being honest, what they gave me. But you're giving me a hypertension diet. You're giving me a high cholesterol diet. And you're now giving me a diabetic diet. Which one do I follow?
And that's part of the problem because, again, the doctor can only spend 15 minutes
That's correct.
in the room because, one, reimbursement rate, so they can't spend that much time with you, which is why registered dietitians are so needed and so invaluable because that's what we are called to do. We're called to spend time with you and to work through the issues of your eating plan, because I think you said it. What diet do I follow? Well, when we hear the word diet, our ears automatically close because we're like, I can't eat nothing.
That's right.
So then you're upset because you have to follow this plan. So what about if you're eating your carbs in moderation, because that's what diabetes really is, just eating consistent amount of carbs throughout the day versus just eating as low as you can go on carbs, or then doing this fad diet. Because when we start doing all these different fad diets to treat the diseases, then what happens is the minute maybe we get off the medication, we run right back
That's
to
true.
however we were eating, versus really looking at, you can have a cookie again. Or you know what I'm saying? Like, you can have another cookie. You can have, I love bread. I'm going to say that. I love bread, but I can have another biscuit. When we think about we're on this diet, it's like, I can never have this food again. So I'm going to hoard it all to myself, and I'm going to eat as much as I possibly can.
And then we become, what is that? Emotional eaters. But then we also become this, where we become very gluttonous.
Yes.
You see the little kid or little baby that's sitting in the corner, and they're eating all of the cookies. They eating all of this that's not good for us to have, because we've deprived ourselves from it.
Yes.
Or the cheat day becomes, I'm eating a whole pizza, a half a gallon of ice cream, some cookies. Well, I've just ruined the whole week because of what I'm doing on Friday and Saturday.
Oh, but you were supposed to do Friday, but then you realized, because I did too much on Friday, I'll just start back on Monday. And then when Monday comes, you go, you know what? I got a really busy week. These people at my job are getting on my nerves. So you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'll do it next week.
Oh, I'll even tell you what's even funnier. So say a fast is called, right? Because we don't really know how to fast either. A fast is called, well, I'm going to eat, and then I'm going to push my fast. It's a 30-day fast, but I'm going to eat this, and I'm going to push the fast back. So everybody done stopped on the 31st, but you still going to the 6th. Because you done ate outside of the fast, in the fast, outside of the fast, because we don't have discipline.
Right.
So when we talk about discipline, how does that work in this whole? Because see, I think the goal is to get healthy. And knowing what that looks like for me, you're going to show me what that looks like for me.
But also, when we say healthy, what does healthy mean to a person? Because what I think it should mean, so this goes back to, what is your goal? Like, yes, the doctor is going to give you goals. Yes, losing weight will help reduce medication, potentially, put whatever disease state in remission or reverse it. But what is healthy? What does healthy looks like? Because oftentimes what I may think is healthy may not be what you consider to be healthy. So we have to start there to define, what is the goal? What do we think healthy means to us? Because for some people, they can eat whatever they want.
Yeah.
And they are able to maintain their weight because they have a high metabolism. They could go work out tomorrow and immediately you see muscles. So again, it goes back to what it means to be individualized. What do you feel looks healthy for you? I will say, like for me, being 5'7", based on a BMI, I should weigh 135 pounds. Plus or minus 10%. I would look sick.
Yeah.
But because of my body.
Because I would be asking you, do you have the package?
Right. So again, this is BMI was something that was man-made. It did not look into our body shapes or our body structures. And we've now gotten ourselves where we're focused on a number.
A number. You're right. Because I was trying to get to that. I was trying to get to that 145 that they gave me. And my husband said to me, "You're going to look like you dead." And I was like, what? He was like, that's not realistic. It's realistic for maybe somebody not in your, all these different factors, but that's just not realistic. And I had to get to that. But let's talk about, I want to talk about how, because you said something that's really important, skin. Skin connected to diet.
Yes, yes. Well, and understanding that the different, so skin, yes, connected to diet, but skin can be connected to the gut. And so I was one that have dealt with hormonal acne, didn't realize it was hormonal acne, but that is something that I have struggled with since I was a teenager. But I was then put on birth control for a long time. I got off birth control and my skin went back haywire. But it was also related to my hormones. And so I thought, even as a dietitian, because of what I have heard, if you stop eating dairy and gluten, that will help the skin. Well, that didn't solve my problems. So that's what I'm saying about us actually getting to the root for it being individualized, because my issue was getting my hormone balance, and I did have issues that were going on within my gut.
So most people, I'm not going to say most people, I'm going to say I thought hormone imbalance was connected to menopause. I didn't realize that hormone imbalance was connected to weight.
Yes, hormone imbalance can be connected to weight, because any woman, 20s, 30s can be dealing with hormone imbalance and may not be yet at menopause or perimenopause. And so looking at your estrogen, looking at your progesterone, your testosterone, looking at your cortisol levels, that is our stress hormone. Cortisol is that fight or flight response. And if you stay in fight mode too long, what ends up happening is you begin to get this weight. Weight begins to collect around our section because we're staying in that state too long. And as Black women, women of color, oftentimes we are suppressing our stress because we want to be superwoman. Nobody understands what we're going through. And we stay in a state to where we don't even realize how long or how much we've been carrying upon our shoulders. And then we're trying to lose weight. We're not sleeping, because that's also linked to not being able to lose weight. We don't sleep. We trying to live off coffee all day. We barely able to eat because we got to go pick up, if you got children, you're going to run and pick up your children after work. You got to get home. You got to cook dinner. Oh, and then if you're married, oh my goodness, I got to spend time with my spouse. And before you know it, you are the last on the list.
Okay, so Shalese, you done put a whole bunch of stuff out on the table. Knowing that my health does not look like your health. So we have to go to that being very individualized and selfish about who we are, what we are, and what our specific goals are, right? So that goes back to, if we tie it into the journaling aspect, my journal don't look like your journal.
Right.
My journey don't look like your journey.
Right.
So the registered dietitian, the spiritual dietitian, is also saying, let's look at this for you. So if I come to you, which I am going to come to you, and say, okay, let's wipe this slate clean. You give me a plan just for me. So is that me being selfish, or is that me being concerned for me?
That is self-care, because you are concerned for you, and you are taking care of you and your body. Because the name of my devotional and journal is called Fit for the Kingdom. And so if we are in the kingdom, we need to be fit for the kingdom. And if we can't do what the Lord is calling us to do because we can't get out of bed, we're having all these aches and pains. We can't even concentrate because brain fog is also related to hormone imbalance.
So a lot of things that we think is one thing truly could be something else. And because the doctor only has 15 minutes, 20 minutes, because if we push them to 30, we have really done something. They're only looking at what can be diagnosed right here. You've already said you looking at labs, you having conversations, you doing all of that. So it's not everybody take this medicine. This is Chantanell. Let's look at what's going on with you. And on the flip side, what you're going to see is you taking account for you.
And it's not an overnight process. So when I work with clients, I'm working with them for 4 to 6 months because healing, it takes time. So this isn't a 2-week process. And let me say, if you are on medication, there is nothing wrong with medication. Medication has its place. So I don't want anybody to go run and go get off their medication because they're listening to us have this conversation.
Correct.
So let me put that out there. But in you taking your medication, then what steps can we begin to take with what you are eating so that then your numbers may come down? Because also, our food isn't like the food we ate when we were growing up. The nutrients aren't there. The vitamins and minerals. So we should be replacing vitamins and minerals. I drink a mineral mocktail every day where I add in magnesium, potassium, and a little bit of sodium. So that I'm replacing what is, basically what I am excreting out when you go to the restroom. So that's something that I am doing, and I can tell I see a difference in my body. I'm not going to the bathroom all day, every day, just from drinking water. But we always thought the more I drink water, it's a good sign I'm going to the bathroom. That's not normal. There's so many things that we have conditioned ourselves around our eating habits that we have made to be normal. But also, even for Black people, African American people, we do eat foods that are nutritious. I know I've been seeing a lot of work with other dietitians where they've been talking about how our foods can seem to be villainized, where it's, don't eat the collards, you got to eat the kale. I mean, right. The collards are fine. The beans are fine. The foods that we like. The issue gets to be when you want to eat fried food Sunday through Sunday.
Correct.
That's where the issue comes. It's not the foods that we grew up on, because for us, that's family. That reminds you maybe of your grandma and when she used to cook, collards on Sunday, whatever that food is, you can still enjoy it. It's just eating it in moderation. Or can you get to maybe once a month I eat that? Or I may not want it. I know.
Or we eat it different. Like,
eat it different.
Like we're not cooking it in, what was that?
Lard.
Lard and fat back.
Yes.
We're cooking it a healthier version of it.
Yes.
Where we're now looking at seasonings, not necessarily all of the grease and all of those things. But I want to talk about the spiritual aspect of when we look at it being fit for the kingdom. I mean, we fit to keep our assignment going, right? Mm-hmm. That we're not unable to walk. We're able to do what we're supposed to do because our bodies are fortified. But what if you are, so here's one question. Are you ever too far gone that your nutrition and fitness journey will not work for you?
Absolutely not, because that would mean that God isn't God. Right. If we're saying that we're too far gone, even in our spiritual walk, we're never too far gone. You just have to pivot and turn back. So even in your nutrition walk, I mean, there are times, again, in the Bible, it talks about seasons. There's a time for everything. There's time to mourn, and there's a time to be happy. So for some of us, depending on what you've gone through, for some people, if they've gone through trauma, they may not have treated their body in the best place, but they did the best they could during that time period. Or maybe they just weren't eating, because I'll be honest with you, some of the people that really are trying to lose weight, it's not you overeating, it's the fact you're not eating enough to provide nourishment for your body. So oftentimes, again, then in society, because the weight loss industry is a $1 billion business at this point, we're buying supplements that don't even make sense for what's going on with us. If you're not eating enough food, you don't need a detox supplement to suppress your appetite. You actually need to eat so that your metabolism can get a jump start.
Ah, okay. How important is breakfast?
Breakfast is breakfast is important. You should eat an hour after getting up because again, you need calories throughout the day. You don't just want to hold everything to 9 p.m. and then you eating a
Roast.
whole, pizza. No, you want to be able to eat enough throughout the day. But here's what I'll tell. Actually, one of my clients actually asked me about fasting and what I thought about it. And I said, the Lord knew. So he already talked about fasting in his word, but the world is just now catching up to the physical benefits that we receive through fasting. And so I told her, if you're going to fast, I recommend you talk to the Lord on how long he wants you to fast because you're now in a spiritual battle. You're trying to change your habits. And with anything, when we're trying to change, the enemy, of course, wants you to be in the state that you're in. Because if you're not fit for the kingdom, that means you're not able to fully complete your assignment that the Lord has called you to do. But the minute you make up in your mind that I'm going to start doing what the Lord has called me to do, what he's telling me to do as far as my eating, you're going to be met with challenges. So, of course, you fasting and you praying and seeking direction from the Lord, it's going to help.
So, if you had to say one thing that we should be doing, we should be motivated to do in our wellness, health, and fitness journey, what is that?
Oh, that's a good question. 'Cause I got more than one.
Okay, so tell me.
Well, first, I think the first thing that actually popped in my head was going back to when you talked about you can't stand exercise. But what if you looked at it differently? What if you looked at, I'm going to walk around my neighborhood, and as I'm walking around my neighborhood, I'm praying over every home in this neighborhood? Then it's not exercise. You doing what the Lord is telling you to do. You're having a conversation, but yet you're moving your body.
I like that. I do. Because then that means we're active, we're showing up in our community, but most importantly, we're showing up for God. Okay, I like that. You just challenged me. Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay.
What is that one thing that we should be eating?
Well, we all should be eating more vegetables and fruits. Just because there's so many nutrients that we get, and they're phytochemicals and antioxidant properties within our fruits and our veggies. And honestly, we don't eat enough. I know a while ago there was a campaign about eat 5 a day. But I challenge everyone that's watching, try to make sure you're eating veggies or fruits at every meal, if possible. But if you're not eating a vegetable, don't stop watching. I mean, when you stop watching this podcast, go say you getting ready to eat 5 cups of broccoli. Because we also tend to do that too. We watch something and we going to go to the extreme, and then the extreme burns us out. So start small. If you're not eating any vegetables, I'm going to start maybe at lunch. And there are plenty of vegetables. There are plenty of fruits for us to try. So when people say they don't like vegetables, you probably haven't tried everything. So challenge yourself, whether it's once a week or once a month, to try something different. Try to prepare something differently and begin to open yourself up to new foods.
What's the prayer we should pray?
So the prayer that we should be praying is one, well, I'll say this. If you're trying to lose weight, you should be praying, Lord, losing weight is is easy for me, but I thank you, Lord, that I thank you, Lord, for helping me to make choices where I choose fruits and vegetables, where you're changing my palate, where I'm not craving sweets all day, every day, that I'm eating to live, I'm not living to eat. That is the prayer.
That's the prayer. What do you want to see from your community?
I want to see from my community, where, especially for Black women, especially in the hormone health space, where, let me say this. So my mom actually had endometriosis. My sister and I are 9 years apart, and she, with endometriosis, you're told that you can't have a baby. My sister had fibroids. I suffered with painful cycles, and you hear stories of so many Black women who either end up with hysterectomies or they end up not being able to have children, but not really understanding the role that nutrition may play in that, and just end up taking the word of a doctor. Doctors were, they do hold weight, but taking the word and making decisions without knowing the full scope of what is going on. I'm seeing too many other women in other ethnicities that are doing nutrition tests, that are doing these functional nutrition tests, that they are focused on their nutrition, where they are able to not deal with pain from endometriosis or fibroids, and they're really digging deeper into that and not just taking the medication or the word that the doctor has given.
Wow. So I think, or what I'm hearing you say, one, partnering with the dietitian, because I want to use the word partnering, is about is about investing in yourself, and not just yourself, but your life. Because I think for me, I realized food was an addiction for me. But I think when you talk about food addiction, it's the thing you have to have, right? You don't have to have cocaine. You don't have to have alcohol, but you got to eat. And so being able to get in a space where I'm not addicted to food, that I'm not emotionally eating, that I'm eating at the right times. There are people who eat at 10, 11, 12 at midnight.
But can I stop you and say you can eat at 10 and 11, 12? And my favorite thing to say is people work third shift. Everybody that work third shift is not overweight. It really is what you eat within that 24-hour period.
I see, you done just really messed me all the way up.
Because it's something that we keep saying, and I keep hearing it, and it probably it's one of my pet peeves, because we don't understand. There's realistically no scientific evidence behind that. It's really based on what you're eating within that 24-hour period. But look, there are people that work third shift. And if they work in third shift, they sleep doing first shift. So if they sleep doing first shift and they're able to maintain their weight.
You didn't mess me up with that, Shalese. I really had a good point. I really thought I had a real good point.
Yeah.
You just done messed me up. Like, that point ain't real.
That point's not real. But this is the part that we have to all work through. So even when you're talking about food addiction, where did that start? Was it because maybe we were bullied as a child and we found comfort in food, or nobody would talk to me? So all I did was I turned to food, or I was in a bad relationship. Food was my friend. When I get stressed, I'll go to food. Where did that start? Because when you can deal with the root of where the food addiction actually started, then the freedom and the healing can begin to take place, where you can start to see small changes. And again, I have a client that I've been working with, and to see where she was when we first started to now, it's been remarkable, but it's been a process. And it's not we then beat ourselves up. Oh my gosh, I ate this. Oh my goodness. And we think the world is going to end. The world is not going to end. You're not going to gain 20 pounds because you enjoyed food for the day, or you went on vacation and enjoyed yourself. No. It's the consistent things that you do every day, over a period of time. That's where the changes happen. Or unless, again, there's something medically going on with your body where, some people they're holding on to fluid. There's fluid retention, so that, their body, it looks like they've gained a bunch of weight. But it's not going to happen because you went to the restaurant or you went to the ball game and had pizza and cotton candy. No. It's you doing that every day for the next month or two. That's when there starts to be a problem.
Okay. So my hope was that this conversation dispelled myths, and you have dispelled a whole lot of them. You really have. Because literally, I'm thinking to myself, I never thought about third shift. I don't work third shift, but I just didn't think that. I thought that went for everybody. Like, don't eat after 7, don't eat after whenever. But I thought, now that you say it.
Yeah, right. You think about nurses. They gonna be asleep. They gotta go home and go to bed, but some of them not going home to go eat because they could eat all night long.
Okay. Wow. So it goes back to, it's not a one size fits all. Okay. So for those skinny people that's making thick people feel bad, I need you to stop. I really want you to really, really stop, because the science is not just, this is what it is, because we've dispelled the BMI myth, right? That everybody needs to weigh this amount, this size, this age, this height. That's not for everybody. We've dispelled the myth that you can't eat after a certain time, which is really blowing my mind.
I mean, think about it. Sometimes we don't get home from church until 12. I'm going to eat. If I'm hungry, I'm going to eat something. But that don't mean
I do, but I feel bad. I used to feel bad. I feel really bad about it. I was feeling bad because I'm like, I'm going to eat this.
But if you for some of us, like, I may not eat a true meal before church. So then I'm hungry. I'm going to
tell you, call me crazy, but as soon as service is over for me, I am eating a snack. It's a snack in my purse, and I have no child. I got a snack. I got a lunch. Because I just do not, after going through what I went through with weight loss and getting educated on that, I'm just not going to because I know hangry is a real thing for me. Because if I have not eaten, I'm not nice. Don't talk to me. And then I'm going to eat whatever I get my hands on. So I'm not trying to go in there and make a salad with some grilled chicken. I'm about to eat what I can. Like, I had them laughing. It's my birthday weekend. My friend, shout out to Tiffany, brought me a whole sour cream pound cake from Charleston. I have eaten that cake. And I'm going to eat a slice when I get home. And told Will, don't eat my cake.
But you should feel okay about that.
I feel okay about that. But I'm also like, that's my business. But I think there are some people who are in such restriction that if I do it, then I'm doing it in secret.
Yeah, and then they're not enjoying life, meaning, let's be honest, a lot of things we do around food. So that means they're not able to participate with church community because they got to run home because they can't eat nothing. They don't know how to fellowship or find, maybe get on the committee to say, hey, can we have this or that? Where,
right.
Where there's something I can't eat. Or they don't hang out with their friends because you can't eat nothing. Or, why you eating that? Then they become the food police. You shouldn't eat that.
And I don't want to be around the food police. So I don't invite people who police my eating. I don't hang out with them after I just don't. I just don't. Because I like to eat. Now, my husband says after surgery, I eat like a gerbil because I can't eat in the quantities that I can because of what the surgery does. But I like pizza. You know what I mean? I go to the Antico and get me a pizza. I'm not going to eat the whole pizza, but I'm going to eat it. But I remember after having surgery, they showed me this video and it was like, oh, girl, don't even do that to yourself. But then it was like, then I'm eating it and now I'm sick. But if I probably ate one bite, I would have been okay. But because I denied myself it for so long, then it was like, oh, I could have it. But then that's how eating disorders come about. Or that whole closet eating. I was that. I was the closet person. Before I got married, oh my God. I used to talk about the spirit of Popeyes. For real. Like, I need you to give me a 6-piece wing. Excuse me? I want 6 whole wings, is what I want. And through the course of time, I'm eating the 6 whole wings. I'm going to have people laughing. I was eating these wings in the car, and I did not have a spoon. So I'm eating the mashed potatoes with the Cajun gravy with the drumstick of the wing as if that's my spoon. And I said, now this is where you know you got a problem, Chantanell. This has gone to be too much. I can talk about it now, but in that moment, there was no conversation or justifying bad eating habits. Like Krispy Kreme, when the hot and ready sign would come on.
Oh, that used to be me in grad school. I could eat I would eat about a dozen.
See, now I don't feel bad because I was feeling bad that I would eat some, and then I would say, "Can I have a grapefruit juice?" Because I was thinking like the Mayo Clinic diet. If I ate the grapefruit juice with the sugar, it would counteract itself. Yeah,
But these are things, and I'm saying this to you even as a dietitian. But in grad school, but I used to run all the time, so that still won't help. I was running,
but you were still
but
eating bad.
I was just eating dozen of donuts.
Right.
Running, but just eating donuts.
And the body chemistry is different, right? So your body is doing something different. My body is doing something different. You're working it off. I'm not. All of these different things, but it goes back to taking the time to invest in yourself with self-care and saying, I'm going to be with my dietitian that's going to help me, nor is she going to make me feel bad because I had 2 Krispy Kreme donuts.
Correct. And I just came back to when you said, what's the one thing we need to do? Try to eat a balanced meal. So have your protein, your carb, and your fat. Try to make it as balanced as possible. I know people have different conditions, but eating as balanced as you possibly can. Having you some meat, a veggie, or fruit. And then a fat, however you're preparing it, if you like avocados, that you could add it to your meal. That's the one thing that we should be doing, because typically if you just eating a carb, you hungry 20 minutes later. Even if you're eating a snack, I suggest people not just eat a naked carb, but to add some protein. So if you want to do grapes and cheese, apple and peanut butter, hummus and some veggies, try to think of your snacks even in those terms, so that it's just not about the carb only, but something that will last a little bit longer. Because when you eat, you don't want to eat and then have to feel like you need to eat again 20 minutes later.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, we need to make sure we have Shalese back. Maybe we have some prepared foods in front of us so people can see what that looks like.
Yes.
Because visual is just as important as audio.
Yes.
I have this, and I think it's amazing because it is a journal on how to write down what you're eating. So when we have conversation, because I've said this, a lot of times when we're journaling, we don't know what to say. Or when we're having a conversation about eating, we feel so convicted that we lie and don't tell the truth.
Oh, people love to say I only eat 1,500 calories. That's everybody's favorite line.
But But if we're writing it down and being truthful with it, then we can show it to you and you can say, okay, this is where we need to cut. This is where we need to find some change. I'm not saying take it completely out, but let's not eat 6 donuts. Let's just eat 1. Or let's scale it back to 2. And then let's get to 1. And so I want to encourage everyone to get this journal, to get this tracker, because it does help you put some things in perspective. And they can get that by going to your website.
Yes, you can go to my website at www.shalesepugh.com, or you can also get it on Amazon. You can just put in the search link "Fit for the Kingdom" and you can get it that way.
And it will be in our comment section at the end of this video. On the show notes. Y'all hear that? We got show notes. I'm so excited. But I also want to say that what's really important is making sure you're being selfish for yourself. Because when you're gone, that means if you leave here prematurely, because your eating habits weren't good, your fitness habits weren't good, that you didn't take care of yourself and you leave this world prematurely, what you were supposed to leave for the kingdom didn't get left. So it's important that we take our health and wellness journey personal, that we take the time and know that there are some things that you just know you got to do for you. And it's okay to say, I'm going to do this for me. The same way we say, I'm going to go buy this purse for me, I'm going to go on this trip for me. We got to take care of me for me, take care of you for you. So the journaling prompt word of the day is balance. So I want you motivators to journal about balance in your health and wellness journey, not just a balanced plate, a balanced diet, but finding balance so that when you do eat, it's balanced. You're not just eating a pizza and you don't have no salad. You're not just eating a burger and you have no vegetables. Like there are people say, I want my Big Mac without no onions. You at least get an onion. You know what I'm saying? At least on your cheeseburger have lettuce and lettuce, tomatoes, extra small, whatever it was on your burger. Get all of that. But the journal prompt is balance. Where are you finding balance in your self-care to include your health and your wellness, your health and your diet and your fitness? Where are you finding balance? And here's the thing, if you're not finding the balance in it, especially in your diet, y'all need to connect with my girl. Go on over to Temple Nutrition and get the tips that you need so that you can live. Because if the world has need of you and you're not giving what the world needs, that's operating in what? Disobedience. And if you operate in disobedience, that's a sin. And why would it be a sin and a shame that you just didn't do right by yourself? So I want to thank you, my friend, for coming on my podcast with me.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. When I thought about it, I said, there's only one person that could do this, and that would be you. Because here's the thing, y'all don't do this. I can do this. If I call and ask you for help, you are giving help. But you're doing this for the kingdom because you know the kingdom has a right to live. And when you don't live by your God-given right, that's being a slave to something that the Lord gave his life for. So I thank you for doing this, because this is the unconventional thing. Because even in the Black church, we're not talking about health and wellness on this level. We're just talking about just not putting fat back in the greens. But we're talking about now eating well, taking your fitness journey on a small scale, just incorporating prayer in a walk and expanding the walk, because that's what it's about, expansion in the kingdom, and it's being balanced in our living. So I thank you for being an ambassador for that. And that the goal is, if there's a young woman who wants to do this, they reach out to you, because you're going to give them the truth of it. You're not going to give them anybody can do it. No, it takes work, and you have to be committed to this work. So I thank you for being committed to the kingdom. And so that's it, motivators. Remember to journal balance. Let us know, how are you going to be balanced in your living? Reach out to Shalese. Let her know that you saw her on the Motivate Her podcast. And we're going to blow her all the way up. So when I need a real session, I can get it complimentary, because my referral fee has just been blown out the water. Thank y'all for watching us today, and come back and see us again. Bye.